So
Recording.
I'm going to start it off. We're going to I'm going to go over some basic SQL syntax and setup. Normally, if I were going to do it, I would be using this program called MySQL Workbench. I'm just gonna show you guys kind of everything right here. But for ease of access and just a little bit, we're gonna use this website SQLtest.net. Then you're just gonna start off. Start right here. Kind of has already some things laid out for us. We're just gonna do a little bit of explaining what's going on. But
we go a little farther on this, so let's make sure everyone's on the same page. Remember, when you go to this site, can you go to the very top of the screen quick?
So yeah, so
upper right.
When we started, as you can see, it's very different looking. Just to set up. So we're going to be using MySQL 5.6.
Good. Yep. That one.
That's this option right here. And then that it already has some things done for us just to make it a little bit easier. As I said, in this website, the way you use it, this is kind of our, I don't want to say variable, but this is kind of our setup. Yeah, this is kind of our setup, and this is how we're going to execute what we want to do, but we will be mostly working in here. And then when we want to execute our code, we'll go right here. So right now, when we press this, it gives us this right here. So what's happening right now, basically these are the parameters. So it's using this create table. This is kind of our keyword. So in this create table, we're giving our table, so our value of data, we're giving it parameters, or so when it says ID, we're just saying this integer can be a max of 6 characters. And it's gonna happen automatically. This first name.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen automatically.
So
what's gonna happen?
Gets added.
Increase automatically. It increases every time you add something in there.
Right. Make sure to be very specific in your instructions on that. Like saying it's gonna happen is like, what's it? What is the? What the?
It's gonna be generated automatically.
There you go. Cool.
Also, these are not like case sensitive, so they could be uppercase to lowercase. These keywords will still execute.
What you see there is common practice using SQL keywords as title case, or sorry, as full caps, just to kind of identify those as the SQL scripts, as the SQL items, with the other items being normal case, lowercase, or title case, or even camel case, or sorry, Pascal case. So you'll see your personal stuff in normal case, just to kind of keep that differentiation between what's part of the database and what's part of your script.
Okay. So right here, this is one of our categories. So first name, where as you can see, whenever I highlight it, it like lights up down here. You can see that. So it's kind of just setting. It's kind of just giving us a parameter. See this var character 30. That's just saying essentially, it can be up to 30 characters. Not, no. So it's kind of validation saying it can't be left empty. Same with the last name.
Sorry, just can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is unsigned? What does that mean? In that on line 2, after the in parentheses 6, what does unsigned mean?
What line?
On line 2, it says unsigned, and before auto increment, what does that mean? I might have misheard. I might not have heard you if you spoke on that.
So basically that means it's going to be automatically generated.
Okay.
No, hold on. Nope, I'm going to correct on that. Titus, the auto increment is the automatically increasing the number that's given to it, so it's automatically. Unsigned. What does unsigned mean? What's an unsigned integer?
Oh, okay.
Does anybody know? This is something that's not necessarily SQL specific. This is coding. It's a coding item. So this is the only thing you all should know.
Is it I believe it's like when we
it can't be negative.
A bigger value, like if
the value is
over number, like a higher number.
It is higher because of what Titus said. So technically, you're both right. Yeah, it's a larger number because normally in a normal int, one of the bytes you're using is a signature byte that you're using to mark whether or not it's a positive or negative item. Unsigned integer doesn't have that bit that can mark it as positive or negative, so it has more space. It can hold more numbers.
Oh.
So unsigned has no signature of either plus or negative. So it cannot be a negative number. Because if you think about it, binary doesn't have a negative symbol, right? Binary is just 1, 0. So that means you have to mark one of your bits as the positive or negative negative signature. If you say unsigned, it means there's no signature, which means you cannot represent a negative value because you can't sign it with the negative symbol, with a positive signal in the backend. So that's where the terminology comes from. Unsigned integer is an always positive integer.
Okay. And primary key, I'm assuming, is kind of like, is that like how you get like I don't want to say a collection, but like the properties.
How would you describe it, Titus? Let you start that first. I'm here to help if you don't get it perfect. So don't worry about it. Go for it first.
Yeah. So you just want to know basically why we're putting in.
What's a primary key?
Yeah.
It basically just defined in our record. It's gonna define it. So it's letting us know like it's just giving us kind of like the way I describe is basically it's numbering our data because it's given it in order. Because sometimes our databases could be thousands upon thousands of records, so we need that key to know where we're at in the database.
Kind of, but I will also clarify that a primary key does not have to be a number. All it has to be is unique. A primary key must be a unique item. It's the item that makes sure every single row is unique and identifiable. That you can you can say I want this row. So the primary key is how you use that. So you can even have last name be a primary key if you're only going to store like family trees. So let's say we didn't have first name, we just had last name. You want to know how many families there are. The last name could be the primary key because you would only store one of each last name in your system. So primary keys are unique. It forces uniqueness, and it makes it the kind of the queryable item. This is like SQL will actually what's what I'm looking for, index that field automatically to make sure it kind of is somewhat aware of that field and sort it or monitor it in a way that makes it easy to search that field. Because if you're trying to tell it 9 times out of 10, I'm going to select based on this key. I'm going to look for this key.
And doesn't SQL always require one primary key into their tables?
Correct. Yep. You must have a primary key in every table, at least one.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can go, Christian. It's fine.
Why is primary and key spaced? Are they not one keyword? Like is primary one keyword, keys another keyword, and then SQL knows to put that this is primary key, or do you just need primary?
Question.
What?
Titus, do you want to give the hint as to why that is and what you'll be doing later on?
The way I just for good practice, I would always do primary space key.
Well, is that the only type of key we have, or is there another type of key you can have?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a little lost.
It's called a foreign key. It's called a foreign key.
Keys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is another key you'll be able to create, and it's how you have one table reference another table.
Okay. All
Any more questions?
right.
I was just
You're
curious.
jumping a little ahead there, Christian, but go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Just to add on to Titus's presentation, there's also something called a combo key. So a key can be made
Yes.
up of 2 rows. All right. So
Sheesh.
SQL, you can go down a rabbit hole, but right now he's teaching basic SQL. So
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
you don't need to go that
Yeah,
far.
so I'm doing
Just like we
basic
talked about
SQL.
on yesterday, like Titus here, just give you guys the ground level so you guys can have your launch pad.
Got it.
Joel, did you have another question?
Yeah, I was just curious. Would you call the primary key maybe like an index? Would that be right to say?
Yeah, that's a nice way to look at it. Yeah, I would say so.
No, I'm gonna interject there. No,
Go
because
for it.
indexing in a SQL server or certain servers, indexing speeds up the way you can search that table.
That's what's
So like for example, you know how like if you are in a file system and it says when you put into the search bar, it says, oh well, this folder's not indexed, so the search is gonna be slow. Same concept. So if
Yes.
you are talking SQL and you start saying indexing, people are going to think a whole different thing versus primary keys, foreign keys, and combo.
Hold on though. One quick second though. I think what I'm saying though is I believe that a primary key is automatically indexed. So you can like we're trying to find a parallel.
It is
to
automatically
previous knowledge.
indexed.
Right. So we're trying to find a parallel to previous understandings. So saying that this can be kind of like an index, like arrays, yes, but good clarification that yes, the indexing has another meaning as well in SQL as well. But yeah, what you were thinking, Joel, is kind of, it makes sense, is what I'm saying. That is a way of looking at it, that it is kind of an index of the records, but do know that yes, indexing is another concept of indexing in SQL.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Good information.
The other
Okay.
thing, the other thing too is the varchar is like a string. You would not necessarily see a string inside the SQL, so you use varchar. I know there's
others as well.
There's another one you can use
Yes.
as well as another one, but
Right, Jim.
varchar is usually the one.
Hold on, Jim. Let's see
Jim.
if Titus decides to use it. Hold
Right,
off. We're trying to
right.
we're digging too deep. We're
Yeah,
kind of going off
everybody.
on deep
wait,
ends.
yeah. So I'm gonna cut everybody off.
Thank you.
No disrespect.
No.
No, okay. No disrespect to anybody.
None at all. Thank you very much, Titus. Your class.
Thank you. So today we're just going to be going over just the basic syntax and all of that. So I'm going to let you know what I'm going to go over. Create table, insert, select, delete, join, and I'm going to showcase. Yeah, I'm going to showcase join for you. Other than that, feel free to go on Google and look up any rabbit hole you may feel of going. SQL first starts with structured query language. As I said, the first thing I'm going over is the create table. Kind of just giving us a little bit of parameters so we can see our information. Also, as I said, this website's a little foreign to me. I use my SQL workbench, but this to get our point across and for everybody to follow along and don't have to do any downloading of, we're gonna go through here. As you guys kind of went, this first name, 30 characters, has to be, you know, it has to be there. Can't be not, it has to be, you know, it has to be data there. Same with our last name. Same with our email and the reg date, timestamp.
Email is not required, right? Email doesn't have the not null. Email could be null, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be no.
Okay, cool. I'm just making sure.
So this is like kind of the script of the basically here. So in SQL it says structured query language. Now we're gonna get to querying. So the select statement basically means we're gonna, you know, pick from one of these databases. So I'm gonna do, so it's basically like as it looks, select. What are we selecting? From is another thing. So I'm gonna show you the example, and it's gonna look better when I show you and start typing. But it's basically picking, you know, what database are we querying, or it can even go into more what column are we querying. So I'm gonna just run this what they have right here. And this is what it gives us. Makes a little sense, but let's switch it. And there's nothing there. So we have no data for this database. Yes, we do have our parameters, but there's no data in it. So let's give it some data. So
I was going to say, Titus, could you take that line 18, just move it onto multiple lines?
Yeah,
So it's not
yeah,
overflowing.
So this took me a couple minutes to figure out.
Just click out the V and hit the enter key.
I like it.
That one. That's fine. Yeah. As long as it's on one, as long as we can see everything, with not having to scroll over.
Let me make it easier for everybody. Just so.
So things can be on separate lines.
So
yeah, they can be.
You guys kind of see the correlation ID one. First name John, last name Doe, email. I didn't like this.
Before you do anything else, I do want to make sure people can see it because it's hard to see on this. Make sure you guys are aware that on the fields, ID, first name, last name, those are actually backticks, not quotes. Yeah, I know that other classes, it's hard to notice it. So I remember this in the morning group. Some people got confused by that. So that's the only one I'm thinking of mentioning it. Those are backticks on fields, quotes on values. So it's a little thing you have to kind of remember. It's a little tricky thing. The backticks aren't necessarily needed unless you have a space or unless unless the table name is a keyword. So the table name is a SQL keyword. You have to do the backticks. If it's not, you don't necessarily need them, but if you're going to put them, they have to be backticks, not quotes. That's one of those things that people kind of fall into a bad thing. They'll put quotes around the field names and not know why it's not working. So just be aware of that.
Is that something that would error out and then it would kind of like remind you to put the backticks in? So
it won't remind you, just say bad syntax.
Okay.
Yeah.
The problem with SQL, that SQL does not have really good error messages. I will warn you guys that. That's going to be your biggest issue with SQL is dealing with the error messages. They are not descriptive in any way, shape, or form.
Well, is this the same on Postgres as backticks for the parameters?
Yes, but again, they're not mandatory. They are just, if you need to put them on the fields, then you use backticks.
Okay.
For me, again, most of the time when I do SQL,
and column names.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're not, all you'll probably see if you use actual SQL. So my workbench, it'll just give you like a X right there. As Claire said, they're not very descriptive. I'm gonna change the data here a little bit. We're gonna change this table. And I'm gonna put it, I don't care if we have an email. I already have your first name and last name, so we're gonna do city, and then state. And that's kind of all I really wanted in this table. So I'm using that. I'm just gonna copy and paste it. Then I'm just gonna switch this right here. Sure, so I'm gonna remove this. I want everything to match up. And do you guys have a preference for city?
Providence.
Good.
Good job.
So so now we're gonna run this query again. See that, we get problems for Island, but I want to have a little more data, so I'm gonna do a couple more examples.
Now you have to put insert into. Never mind. Okay.
No,
I don't want to go
yeah,
into a rabbit hole again. My bad.
you do. So, because that's
Oh,
you do have to every sequel. I would say it's kind of it's not a very smart language. Not like it's you have to do. You have to tell kind of the program or workbench exactly what you want to do.
okay.
But yeah, every time I have to say, no, let's say, hey, you gotta tell the program, hey, my SQL workbench or whatever editor you're using for SQL, I want to do exactly this every time you're doing it.
Okay.
One thing to keep in mind, SQL's been around for a very long time, so
Yeah.
it is very simple. But they keep it simple so that it's easy to approach and easy to use in a way. It's not it's not too complicated, but you can, as we've seen with David and with a lot of questions, as David's coming out and answering the questions, you can get deep into the woods with it, deep into the weeds. I mean, sorry. So.
Okay, Tom Brady.
Yeah, I have another one. I have another test one, and I put all you guys' name in it, but I'm kind of just like while I'm teaching, I'm blanking on your guys' names. So no offense, guys.
It's right on Slack.
Happens to me sometimes.
I'm not looking at Slack right now, to be honest. I don't have Slack up.
The you don't have the screen up with like everybody like.
No.
He's got a SQL up right now.
Yeah.
Unless he has dual monitors, you can't have both up at the same time.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm focusing on just this, guys. Not this. So I don't know. Give me another city, guys.
San Francisco.
There we go.
Tampa Bay.
Oh,
Yo, they got slaughtered.
I knew someone was gonna say.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna do something real quick. So we have a good amount of data. I'm gonna go and run A because we've already seen that run, and I'm gonna execute. So it didn't work. You guys see that this primary key, this one when I run it doesn't generate. So I have to,
Does anyone want to take a guess why it's not auto-generating? Hold on, before you do any change there. Hold on. Before you do that, no one know why it's not auto-incrementing. Why is it not auto-incrementing?
Wait, for the primary key?
Yeah, for the ID.
It's not auto incrementing because he's inserting it.
Right, you're setting it. This was a weird thing that I don't know why this site did that. In all these records, Titus, just remove the ID in the one. You don't need to provide it into the insert into because the auto increment is going to do it for you. So you don't need to provide ID in any of these.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I would remove ID from every single row.
Except for the first one or everyone?
No, all of them. Every single one. It starts from, I think it starts from 1 as well. Like this is something we tested before. So yeah, remove it from every single record that you're doing the insert on. You don't need it because the auto increment is going to handle it for you. You just have to remove it from the insert as well.
You have to specify it like to start at 0 or is it automatically start at 1?
You can. There's a command to set it, but we're not going to get into that. Again, that's additional customization. But yes, you can definitely change it.
So I did that.
Hold on, there's more to do. You didn't remove everything. I said to remove that, but you also got to do this, this, and this.
So remove the ID parameter from all of them.
Correct, because you're no longer providing the ID. So remember, they're going to match up. So you're actually providing John to the ID. So that wasn't.
And I'll do it for B as well.
Yep, same thing.
Okay.
Now try that. See, starts at 1.
Just kind of want to go through that error because that was giving me problems with using this. Let's see what else I wanted to show you guys. And then I'll do B just to show you. Just to show differences. Let's see what else I wanted to go over with.
A couple more things to select. Yeah, I'll see what you got first, but I'll make sure if you forget anything that's important, I'll let you know.
And then the next I'm gonna go with delete.
Before you go on to delete, there's a couple more key elements of select you might want to touch base on. And the most common thing we're going to do with select is we're going to usually select a specific item, right? We're going to want to use some sort of like filtering to make sure we pick like one person based or multiple people based on some sort of attribute. So if I wanted to select one of the second, like the user with the ID of 2, how would I pull that person? Or what would it be? What is SQL A? Yeah, what if I wanted to pull the second person in the database?
So we're gonna put what we put the table name.
Not quite. Right, my last name. Again, so in most cases, like we're gonna use the primary key, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know who the second person is. Like think about them with users. We usually would pull from the user ID or the person ID or something like that. So I want to pull, let's say again, I want to pull the second user who is ID number 2. How would I do that? Select star from MySQL test B.
Where?
Then what? I think Joel got it. Yeah.
Yeah, where ID equals 2.
With the where command? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I get Miami, Florida.
And then
For the fun of it, can you just make your third record in table B also Florida, even though it's San Francisco?
You got on table A, you got 2 same email.
We got 2 Brady's. Never mind. Yeah. Let's do select star for MySQL test A where last name is Brady. Right or no?
No, 2 email addresses are the same.
So email address. Oh, okay. So where email is equal to bim.do.
yeah. And as I said,
Would we be able to add columns after we create a table?
There is a way to do it, but it's trickier with SQL than with Mongo. You need to kind of do there's a syntax for it. I think it's called like modify table, add column. That's a little more than we're going to be able to cover today. But yes, you can.
Okay, and then we would be able to add like a foreign key to it.
I believe so. Yes. Again, this gets trickier the more complex the addition is. So there, see that pulls multiple. The last thing I want to show as selects is, let's say I only want specific details. What if I only want to get the first and last name of the people with this email account? I don't actually want the email, but I want the first and last name returned. So instead of select star, what can I do? Because star is a wild card. Star says, hey, give me all columns. And so if I replace the star with specific columns, what happens? Let's do that. Let's replace the star with first name and last name.
Mm-hmm.
so you just want me to put the first name and last name?
Yeah, just type first name, last name there. First name, comma, last name. With comma, yeah. Try running that. Let's see what that does. So that's what that does. So those are the 3 most common things you're going to want to do with select. There's way more you can, of course, do. There's more items. You can actually do your where something is inside of an array of items. So you can have an array of items inside of that. There's an in command. So there's a lot of things you can do with select more than this, but these are the 3 basics you want. There's the select star from a table. That pulls everything. That's useful for home pages where you want to just display a list. You have your select something, you get select star from, then where, and then you usually put like a foreign key or some sort of identifier to pull very specific items based on some sort of condition. Where is your condition? And then the select star, that's wildcard, pull everything, replace the star with specific columns, and it will only return those columns of those items. Note how we searched for the email, but we didn't have to return the email. So this is useful for, again, protecting data. What we did in our React applications like that, we did select some things where you don't want to always include every single bit of data when you're sending information down to the front end. You only want to send the data that you're going to display, right? So that's where you use the select. So those are the three main use cases of select. Just want to make sure those are touched base on. So you can move on to the next one now.
Can I just ask one small question? Not a rabbit.
Go for it. We'll see. If it's not small, I'll let you know.
Variable names. Are they supposed to be all lowercase like that? Like, what's the syntax or the best practice common use for a variable name?
I think that's personal preference.
Is it? Okay.
I will say there is the common practice. Like I said, for variable names, common practice is like, it's mostly based on the language the team's using. Mm-hmm. So I notice a lot of Java, if you're using SQL with JavaScript, you'll see a lot of Pascal case, small first letter, every other letter after that is capitalized. Mm-hmm. So you'll usually see it replicate whatever the main language is using. If you've seen people using, I think it's Python is one of the ones that uses the underscore system a lot. Okay. So yeah, you'll see it's going to be a lot of times based on the company itself and based on what language they're using. You'll see that whatever the common practice of that language will flow into their SQL language as well.
Okay.
That's what I usually see. But yeah, as Titus mentioned before, the commands select from where those are not case sensitive. You just usually see them do all caps, that you know those are SQL commands, and the other items are your items part of the data as part of your database.
And I just did a lowercase where just to show you that it could work.
Yeah, it doesn't care.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Actually, that's why I didn't say anything about you typing where all small, because like, good, I want people to see that you didn't have to type that capitalized.
So just to say, Cliff, on where we can add multiple ones too as well, right? Like you can say email and
cool.
Yeah, you can do and in there. There's the logic operators, they have or, and to be aware, the logic operators for SQL are actually written the actual words. You would actually type the word and, not cool. ampersand. You would type the word or, not pipe. So if you actually wanted to do here, scroll down a bit, Titus. I want to see one of the first names. Let's grab first name Jim. So let's go up again. In that line there, at the very, very end, let's do and, capital A-N-D, at the end of it. Do capital A-N-D. First name equals Jim. Let's run that.
Make this easier. One second. For readability.
I like it. And now note how it has to qualify both items for it to trigger. Mm-hmm. So that's what the and does. And both items have to be true in order to pull that record out of the database. The or would still pull both because both would qualify. So there you go.
You can also use greater than or less than if you're using numbers to look for specific ranges and such as well.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay. Very cool.
And you can limit it as well. I don't know if you
guys, rabbit hole already have you know,
to an extent, these are the common items. So and or logic items, those are still very common. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I think that's gonna be the stopping point.
As in the actual name of SQL, what it's short for, it's called structured query language. This is made of companies. This is just have to hold a lot of objects and data and a lot of items, and how you're going to query it and how you want to get creative with it is completely and solely you. As I said, this is just to get you started, but there's a lot of things you can do with this, and there's a lot of different ways to implement this type of stuff, and a lot of ways to have fun with it and to store data, especially with programming. This is just a tool. With that, the way Cliff kind of segued way this and kind of pinpoint and honed in on it. Set a select. I'm gonna change this to obviously extremely self-explanatory. Yeah, I was getting this. Why when I do the delete with this, it gives an issue on this thing? Is it my syntax or something with the?
Well, you're deleting. You still have the column names, so remove the 2 column names. It's trying to use first. It's recognizing. It's trying to. You're thinking that the first name is the table. You don't even need from anymore. So you don't need the from. We're going to leave the from, but you don't need from in this one because you're not going to delete a column and you're not selecting columns. So the from isn't necessarily needed because the very first item after the word delete is assumed to be the table. So it's delete. So you can put, again, the word from is allowed, but it's not necessary because if you scroll back down again quick and look at the error message.
I have notes too, so I'm gonna give you guys should write this down.
Before you go though, scroll down quick for the error message, just to make sure it makes sense. Note how it says unknown table first name. So that's what it was saying. It was taking first name as a table. So that's why I'm saying the from isn't necessarily needed. So let's go back up. Go ahead and do what you're doing.
So I'm gonna write so from my notes, I looked up the delete syntax and to make that easier for you guys.
I am curious, Titus, do you know how to make comments in SQL?
Isn't it? I forgot. I should know this like that.
Put it in the beginning of it. Let's find out. Or try the command / again. Test it.
No.
Does anyone know?
Is it hashtags? No.
What was the question?
I think it's 2 hyphens.
What was the
Gotta
question?
make notes.
Hyphens, or the dashes. The question was, how do you do a comment in SQL? No, hyphens are not it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I have them. I just forgot, as I said.
David, do you know?
In SQL Server, it would be 2 dashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You could
what
also-
too.
You can also use /* to do a block comment. Usually that's universal.
Oh, that is.
So that's you guys see.
You have to close that though. You have to do */. You know.
I know why the double dash didn't work. By the way, you didn't have a space after it. Go back to the first one. I just want to make sure that you get that we were right. The / is correct, but the / only works if there's a space immediately after. So -- space. Well, it didn't work before because you didn't have the space. Because I was actually caught off guard by it too. Because I was like, that should have worked. Is my SQL different?
Should have worked.
I was actually like, wait a minute. That's why immediately after I'm like, does anyone know? Because I was like, crap, am I wrong? What happened?
Only reason is I deal with that shit every day.
I got so confused with myself.
As I said, this is a little tricky for this website. It's not bad as this is a little weird, the editing.
Yeah, this is mostly just for playing around.
Yeah, I use
Excellent.
delete from our table name. So we're just gonna delete. Let's figure out what we want to do. I'm gonna delete San Francisco, California. So that executed, but check my.
It should be state.
I could give you a way of trying to see how that it worked. I can show you how you can test it. I would recommend deleting Florida though instead of Miami, instead of California. So I can show you a way to test it. Ready? Let's delete Florida instead.
Okay.
I'll show you because I was thinking about this, like how are you going to be able to show it? But I came up with an idea.
So yeah.
Florida.
So I'm gonna change it to state.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I forgot.
Yeah, it's
So
like
that actually probably
California's
didn't
the
work now that I think about it. Yeah, that probably didn't work.
That didn't. Yeah, I just did it like that. So we're gonna do delete from
Yeah,
this.
we did that one.
It is
Yep.
our state. So
And
parameter.
then right underneath the delete, let's do the select star from MySQL test B.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we should see only 3 items, but yet the third item will, I mean, we should only see 2 items, but the second item will have an ID of 3, showing that there was a second item that was there at one point. Beautiful, let's run that. Wait, did you get a semicolon at the end? No, you do. Oh, wait, I don't think you can run 2 items in the same SQL query. Move the delete from to the bottom of your SQL script. Forgot about that. It's very picky on this site. You can only run 1 query on there. And so
Yeah,
this
site was like.
No. Move it over to the SQL script to the left-hand side.
The select.
Yeah, no, the delete. Move the delete over to the bottom of your SQL script side, to the left side. So cut, go all the way down to the bottom of the left, paste it there.
Huh.
Okay. Yeah. So
There you
that was giving me a lot of trouble doing.
Yeah.
So you can only do 1 query, but you can have.
Yeah, you can do multiple modifications to your database on the left-hand side. It's just every time you hit that execute SQL, it runs everything on the left on a fresh new database, and then runs the SQL and then runs the query on the right, which again can only be a single query. But the script on the left-hand side can actually be a full file of just scripts and things are run. That's how this site works.
And does SQL? I'm guessing, but obviously run like oh my gosh, what is the word?
Wait.
It's a little bit of a rabbit hole, but main thing
Okay,
you need to
never mind.
understand.
Is your question related to any of the basics?
This is the TLDR of it that you can look into later.
Yeah.
I understand that the left-hand side is like running a .SQL file, and the right-hand side is like running a SQL on the database server. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
If you need to know how to do that, look into it on your own. That can give you enough to at least understand what's happening here.
That makes more sense. That's why I was a little.
I'm not going to get into more detail on that, though. All right, keep going. So that's a good delete. So yeah, delete, same thing. You can use your wheres, you can use your ands and ors. So that's it. Nice and simple.
Cool. And then I'm gonna go over update with you guys. So let me see. I wanna show you the syntax for my notes. So
Excuse me.
So with this.
So it doesn't matter if you indent when you go to a new line with another keyword, like they can just stack like that. You don't have to like indent or anything.
Yeah,
It just
you don't.
runs. Oh, cool.
You can also do the whole values system as well. You
Yeah.
can do both ways.
I can, if I wanted to, I could put it on one line. It's whatever's comfortable for you. As I said, when you use my SQL workbench, it literally will. You'll know if you can run it or not. It's the best way. That's how I can describe it.
Just like in other languages and other systems, there's multiple ways to do the exact same thing.
Yeah. Let me see. So I'm just gonna change this to my name. And then this is one thing that you will have to have every time I want to like execute or do something, you have to put a semicolon because you'll get a little X in this website.
Similar to Java, so you guys are kind of getting. You guys should be used to semicolons now.
And I think that.
Similar thing to last time. If you want to see it work, move your update to the left side and add a select star from that table. That's fine.
Did you get the from?
Yep, that's what you did there.
I don't. Do you see there what I'm doing? I thought this is like the syntax for it to update it. Is there anything I'm doing that I'm off, Cliff?
So the syntax I use is similar to the insert. That's the one I'm just familiar with. I know that I've seen something similar to this, but I've usually just used the insert style where you do set parentheses, the fields you want to set, and then values, and then the values you're setting to those fields. So that's the syntax I tend to use. But like I said before, I know that MySQL has a couple ways of doing it. I'm just not sure if the MySQL version we're using has it. I don't know. So how you would change this is just see how your insert into has the parentheses and then the two fields. So after set, you would have the parentheses and then first name, comma, last name.
The error message shows that he doesn't have a space between the table and set.
I see a space there. What?
If you look at the error message, you see my table test A set first name. There's no space between there. I'm not sure if that really makes a difference.
No, it's just that's what the system's showing. It's fine.
Yeah. I see what you mean, Cliff. So like
it kind of like the way I do it, like again, the syntax I'm familiar with is that you're doing it similar to the into the insert command. You can try that, see if that works first. Let's see if that works, because I know that this equal command is something that you can do. I don't tend to use it.
No, I'm gonna try.
Yeah. No, not the backticks. Those don't work for strings. I would remove Titus Buchanan out of that. So equal symbol in the Titus. So here, I'm going to show you what you're going to erase. Hold on. And now after that, you're going to do values.
Same parentheses.
Nope, outside of these parentheses. This is the keyword. Similar to the insert right above this. And then the parentheses here, you're going to add two strings. The first one is your first name. The second one is your last name. So this is the way I do it. So like I said, I know there's other ways of doing it, but this is just the one I'm familiar with and how I do it. So.
I'll tell you, there's no space between the table and the set.
Yeah, I am noticing that now, but that shouldn't be key. No, not there, not there. After the A on line 35, add a space. I don't think that is because it has the new line. The error isn't showing the new line. I don't think that's it though.
No.
Why is that not working?
Now it shows the space, but it's still not working.
So no, wait, your syntax before was right. Let's undo back to your syntax. Your syntax was correct. And we need to figure out why that wasn't working. Keep going, keep going. I noticed there's an extra space after the equal sign of first name. I don't know if that's causing a problem. Oop, undo, redo once. Look after first name's equal sign. There's two spaces before the Titus hits. Is that causing a problem? I wonder. No, only one space. I was looking at it. It's fine. I don't think so. I don't think that would cause a problem. What's it not like?
You still need to put the set space after the A.
Again, that doesn't matter.
Oh.
We're on new lines. The error messages doesn't display new line characters. It just ignores them. So the error message is not going to display the new line characters. The new line characters act as spaces.
Let me see. Can I see the syntax one more time? I just want to take a look.
Yep.
Update that last, okay, where ID equals 1.
Just for the fun of it, just to make help Jim see that what we're saying is right, put everything on one line. Put space there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Once I get it all.
There you go. This I'm expecting to still error because we haven't actually changed anything. Wait, click it.
So I clicked it.
Do me a quick favor. Move the set to the new line. So after the A, hit backspace 1. Hold on, before you do that, I want to get. There still technically have the space there. I think it might have been the. What my current theory is. These were on different lines, and that's what I'm thinking. The problem was. So yeah. Move the where to a new line. Now move the, run that. That should work.
I'm just gonna change it up so we could really see it working in real time.
Work.
Okay, there we go.
Yep, that worked. Now move the where to a new line. Run that. Yes, it worked. Now, just to be on the true side, you go back up again. Click on the end of line 35. There's an extra space there. Line 35. Backspace 1. Run it again. I want to make sure that that extra space isn't needed. That shouldn't be needed. So go ahead, run it. So there. No, wait. That's interesting. What is going on here? That's
no, it's line 37. You have a space after the 3.
Is that causing the problem? No.
It says last name equals where
No, wasn't that.
Space there.
It needs a space there, huh?
Yeah.
Is there a space at the end of line 32, by the way? At the end of line 32, is there a space there?
At the end of line 32?
Yeah. One up, one up. No, there is. Have I always just done that without realizing it? I never knew that I did that. Okay, so yeah, so even if you have the new line, you still have to have a space at the end if it's a run-on sentence. So the white space in this does matter. So if you don't have that white space there, that's what was breaking it. I've never done that before. I have never I don't remember ever having to explicitly put a space there. So nice catch, Jim. Sorry for calling you out. Sorry for saying you were wrong on that. I was wrong. I didn't realize I was automatically doing it.
No, the line showed how it was like put it out, and I was like, "There's no space between them. How is it going to differentiate that?"
Yeah, well, I guess what's interesting is the color syntaxing was recognizing the separation, and error messages tried to avoid new lines as much as possible because they're trying to keep things compact. So I'm surprised by that. Anyway, there we go. So there's an error that you want to be careful of. So there's something that's really good to know. I'm actually really happy we ran into that error because that could have really frustrated some of you guys if you ran into that. But there you go. Cool. Okay, continue.
Okay.
Oh, there was one quick thing I wanted to mention about this. Almost forgot. Let's go back up again. This is something that most people don't know until they run into the problem. We're used to Mongo having a find one and update or a find multi or update many. SQL doesn't have that kind of separation where you can say, well, there are complex ways of doing it, but very simply, let's make sure people understand that if you're if you're conditional triggers multiple items, it will update multiple items with your sets. So if we did where ID instead of where ID, if we did our where email equals bim.do, it would update both items, first name and last name. So do be aware of that. Be very careful with those items. That's why I say 9 times out of 10 when you're doing an update, you should be using the primary key to update items. Be very, very careful with that. If you're not careful with your where conditional, you can update every single record in your database and you're going to lose data. So I want to mention that one because that's something you don't know that can happen until you mess up your data once. So definitely be aware of that. But the where there are ways of limiting it, but it's more advanced. So just be very careful in the beginning. When you do your where command, your update commands, make sure you're updating the item you want and not accidentally updating multiple items.
So just to make that clear, so if I just said update everything that had it would just update all the ones if I just ask for that specific email, it'll update every record that has that one email address.
Exactly. Okay. Or even this. Do this for a sec. Do this as a favor. Remove line 37 and put the semicolon at the end of line 36. Kill that and put the semicolon there instead. Now run this and look what happens to our data.
Oh,
we've just overrode our entire system. No warning, no nothing. There's nothing we can do unless you're using something advanced called transact SQL and stuff like that. There's nothing you do to get it back. You can't undo that. So this is something that you have to be very careful with SQL. This is why a lot of companies will have a test SQL database that you're running your scripts against before you ever put it live. So do be aware that MySQL definitely trusts the coder a lot more than some other systems can. You can definitely damage data if you're not careful with your SQL commands. So always make sure you're testing your commands on a test system or a SQL or a copy of the database. You very rarely want to run freshly typed code on your live system. And that's why something like this exists. Anyway, continue on.
So I think what's the next? So the next thing I'm gonna go over is kind of the last thing to go over to get you guys out. I want to make this quick, simple topic, quick. We're gonna go over joins, and basically, joins is basically as it sounds. You're just joining kind of the table. I want to say like we're joining part of our records together to get one thing. So I put kind of first name, last name, email on one side, city, state on one table. Just want to, as I said, join these. So I'm gonna put select from. Select. Select man command. Sure it does, but let's see. Would I be able to join them just by the IDs? That's what I'm trying to do.
Remove the comments for a second, but I'm actually not sure if you can do this because the primary keys and they're not referencing each other, but they do have similar numbers. So I was actually curious if this would work. I've never done it myself this way.
You have to select it to do the inner join, or are those two separate different commands?
They're technical commands. You're selecting from something where you're joining. I know what you're missing. Go back up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, inner join that. So from table one, inner join. So this, hold on, as you can see here. So it's the inner join. Then you got to give it the other table that you want to join with. So after join, you're going to do MySQL test B. Get rid of the ID on that line. So you're saying, so get rid of that. So now, right, this is what this is saying, select from, and put the star back, by the way, put the star back on select. So yeah, we want all the columns. So select star from MySQL test A, joining with test B on, and now we got to point out after the word on, now we got to find the two where they're equal or where they're similar. So I'm going to do MySQL test B equal to my, now normally in this, you would actually start with the A on the left-hand side. So I would actually go MySQL test A.id. So this equals MySQL test B.id. And so what this says is we're going sorry. There's the line first. Notice you have the MQ, not MY, on the MySQL test B. Misspell. There we go. And so before you hit the run on this, just to clarify what's happening here. So we're selecting from the table while also joining that table with the B, but we have to tell it how to join these two. How do we combine these rows? They need to combine on something that they share in common. And so we're telling it that we're going to join the rows wherever the ID in A matches the ID in B. So now run it and see how that works.
So you guys see kind of, then I just,
See how I combined it?
Yep.
just to show you.
I'm gonna say on this actually, what's ironic is that in the morning class where I actually ended up doing this lesson with them, we actually did a deep dive on the joins. If you want, I can just share that with the class if you didn't really go too deep into it.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go in because there's so many different types of join.
Yeah, join is a little more complicated, and we did a pretty good. I actually was really proud of what we ended up doing into it because you have inner join, right join, and left join.
Yeah.
And we're already hitting 9:30, so I want to make sure we don't go too late on everyone. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to share both this recording and the recording from cohort 8 morning. When you start watching that one, you can skip through the beginning stuff if you don't want to. If you feel confident in select inserts and deletes, you can skip those. I do show some other variables in it as well, so you can take a look. Of course, feel free to watch as much as you want. But the main thing is that pretty much near the end, we dig into the join system. We talk about inner join, right join, left join, and how they work. And we also talk about how foreign keys work, how two tables can reference each other through a foreign key. So similar to what we did with user accounts and profile accounts. If you remember back in our React application we did user accounts, and then profiles were separate from the user accounts. And the profile model had a reference to the user ID. And so that way you could pull the user ID from the profile. You could actually know who owned that profile and vice versa. So that was kind of the idea behind that. And that's what foreign keys kind of are a similar concept there. You connect an item from one table to items from another table. And we even mention a couple of concepts known as there's 3 types of relationships that tables can have. I don't know if Titus actually learned about this yet, but these are just terminologies that you want to at least have in your head when you start digging into SQL yourself. The types of relationships you have for table-to-table communication, you have a one-to-one, which means you have one record to one record. So every user has one profile, right? And each profile has one user usually. That's the most common kind of example of a one-to-one relationship, right? Does anyone have a guess what another type of relationship might be?
One to many.
Yeah, one to many, right? A good example of that can be a doctor. Let's say a doctor. Okay, hold on, I'm back. Okay, hold on, I'm back. Okay, there we go. My headphone just came unplugged. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Anyway, so yeah, one to many. My example of that is you have a doctor who has many clients, right? Most clients, they at least in that location, have the one doctor as their doctor. So each multiple clients have one doctor, while the doctor can have multiple patients. Another example of this is that a user can have multiple posts, but each post has only one creator, right? So as a user, I can make as many posts as I want. I can post as many blog posts as I want, but each of those posts has only one creator, and that's a one-to-many. Following this logic, what could be the third connection type we have, or the third relationship we have?
Many to many.
There we go. Yep, just following the logic. Many to many. This one's a little harder to come up with an example, but for me, the example was kind of, if someone has an example that is good, let me know, because I always forget my example.
A teacher could have many subjects to teaching and have many students to that one
That's
course.
can go the same thing. So yeah, in college, you can have many teachers have many students, and those students have multiple teachers as well. So yep, 100%. That's actually a really good example. I forgot about that. Yeah, in college, you don't have one teacher. You have multiple teachers, and those teachers have multiple students as well. So yeah, that would be a many-to-many relationship. Very good. Good catch on that. Yes, that's way better than anything I've been coming up with. So thank you for that. I'm going to use that one from now on. So those are something we touch base on those again, and you'll see how those work and how we set those up. So yeah, I'm going to share both videos. I think it's going to be very useful. So everyone's challenge tonight and tomorrow, or really tomorrow, is to kind of watch through the video from cohort 8 morning that I share in the classroom so that we are ready to start using database. Now, again, we won't be using databases, if I remember correctly, because I think, what are we doing actually? I think actually we are doing database, kind of. We're setting up Hibernate, I think, with, Chang. What's Chang doing again? What's the next lesson again? Where is it? There it is. So Chang is doing, file access. So Thursday, so you have all of the weekend to kind of play with SQL. So most likely what's going to happen on Thursday is I'm going to give you guys a SQL challenge to build on that site. So you'll have something to build for that site that you're going to do over the weekend. So I'll be giving you a little mini challenge to create the code on the left and the code on the right, and you'll be sending me that code through an assignment. So we will get some SQL practice before we go. Sound good? So play with these, watch the videos when I post them up. The cohort 8 one's already ready to go, so I'll just link that into your playlists. It'll be right up within a couple seconds, so I could go do that right now. Titus, for you, as soon as this is done processing, if you want to upload it to YouTube yourself, do that, send me the link. Or if you want to upload it to Google Cloud so I can download it and upload it to my YouTube.
If you're recording.
Am I doing the recording? Oh yeah, I am recording. Never mind.
No good.
All good. As soon as it finishes, I will upload it.
Yeah, I trusted the
I remember that. I remember now.
file in your hand.
Ghetto.
I think only one thing I would point out is that I've noticed that the table name and the field names all have to be lowercase. They will not accept uppercase.
Really? Oh, I'm probably thinking Postgres or something. Okay, go.
Postgres might do that, but I know MySQL, I've always typed
You're right.
capitals like, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, well,
I think you're right on that. I think you might be right on that. Yeah. Now that you say that, that does sound familiar. So, all right, cool. Yeah. Like always, these are introductions. More details are out there. As long as you learn the initial key phrases, now you have enough to start playing, and that's really the goal of this. With what Titus gave you, you have enough to now go to that site and start playing around and start trying and breaking things and fixing things. So start playing with them, start practicing with it, start experimenting. One of the main so this is my mini soapbox for tonight because it's already kind of late. Mini soapbox for tonight, again, part of this whole process is you learn enough. And again, you guys are computer scientists as well as developers. And what do scientists do?
Research.
Experiment.
They research, they experiment, they test things, they play, they come up with hypotheses and then they test them. They experiment on things, they research things, they learn on their own. They say, you know what? I'm going to try to figure this thing out and I'm going to mess around with it until I understand how it works. So that's something you guys want to do too. The good thing is you're working on things that aren't living, so you can really just mess with these things. So have fun with it. Break these things, make them not work, and then ask them, hey, this isn't working. Can you help me figure out why if you can't figure it out yourself? So do that. That's something I love to do. I always have a test.js file or a test.java file or even a test.sql file. I always enjoy just playing with my code or running the node REPL or going online to a Java REPL or a Java fiddle. And if I'm like, you know what, I think this code would work, I'll write the little bit of line of code quick just to test the line to make sure that my thought of how the line will work actually works the way I think it will. I don't necessarily just think that everything I come up with is going to work as it is. I test things constantly. I experiment with my code on a constant basis. I'm like, you know what? I think I came up with a better way of writing this bit of code. I will test it, try it, and be like, nope, that didn't work. Actually, that was horrible. Go back. Or it'd be like, yes, this actually works better. Nice. I'm going to start doing this from now on. So that is something you want to be able to do. And it should feel, and really what you want to hopefully do is have that be something that's fun for you. The idea of testing something and being like, you know what? We test it, and when it doesn't work, that's fine. Being able to analyze it and say, okay, well, why didn't it work, and what did I learn behind this? Now I know something to not do. And when it does work, that should be really exciting for you. Like, ooh, I understood something that I wasn't taught. I learned something, or I came up with something that someone else didn't instruct me on or teach me on. So that's my recommendation for you guys for tonight into Thursday. You'll be learning how to access files with Chang on Thursday. And read data from there. So again, that would be the idea of maybe reading data and feeding it into a database potentially. But again, over the weekend, I'll be giving you guys a SQL challenge to write the SQL script to create a certain type of database structure and to pull certain records. Well, insert certain data and then pulling certain data. So you'll be able to supply me with those scripts. You'll be able to do those items. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Can I do one more thing? I was just show them.
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
send a link to download Workbench.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right, you can just go through there, and it's pretty self-explanatory.
Putting in Slack.
Yeah, I'll Slack it. I think everybody wants to go to bed or late.
Yeah. Yeah, post in Slack because the chat log here is lost as soon as we close the thing.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, and everybody have a good night. See you guys Thursday.
Good night, everyone. See you Thursday.
Have a good night, guys.
Night,
Good
everybody.
Titus.
Night.
Good
He's
Titus.
already gone. Titus wants to go to bed. See ya.
Yeah, big tired.